Hollow. We've had a little bit of a break in the weather, and that's great because I really need to get to some winter sowing. We are in the bleak midwinter, but we've got a nice 40-degree temperature today, which is perfect to do some winter sowing out here. I'm out here on the potting porch. I've got everything ready to go, including my tea, which is going to be absolutely necessary because there's still a little bit of a nip in the air. And so I'm not sure what I'm drinking today. I can't remember. Oh yes, something different. It's French. Oh, I'll remember it at the end of the video. Can't remember what it is right now. But I've also got a homemade pot pie, chicken pot pie, cooking in the oven so that when I'm finished with this job, I will have dinner prepared and ready to go. So cheers. Let's get moving. This is really good tea. I've got a lot of my collected seed right here, ready to go into my seed nursery boxes, and I've also got a lot of purchased seed that I'm going to be using. Last year I showed you how I make these, well, I called them mini greenhouses last year, but I've changed the name of them to Jeri's nursery beds because I think that's a little bit more appropriate. They are nursery beds for little bitty inhabitants, which are seeds, and this is where the seeds will grow, inside these little covered bins that I've created. Last year I planted 50 of these. This year I've added 25 more. I made 25 more, so I'll have 75 in total if I don't add more than that. I've already put quite a few of them together, but I'll go step by step and show you how I do this because it's just the most wonderful way of raising your seedlings to the point where they can go out into the garden. It was so successful for me last year that I've decided that I really probably will not do any seed trays or any little peat pellets this year. I just really like this method. Seed nurseries, you're going to need these plastic bins, and you need 2 of them to make one nursery bed. These are 12 inches wide or 12 inches long and about 6 inches deep. You're going to want a drill and some drill bits. You'll need a small drill bit to drill the holes in the sides, and you'll need either a 7/8 inch or a 5/8 inch to draw the drainage holes and the holes in which you want the moisture to come through on the top. You're going to do this on the top and on the bottom. If you use the wider bit, you can do 2 holes. If you use a smaller bit, you can do 3 holes. I prefer the 3 holes, actually. I think you get better drainage that way. And you'll need some wire to attach this top and bottom together, and a marker. Just as simple as that. Because I've already done an entire video on this, which I will link below. I'm not going to actually go through with it because mine are already finished, but you're just going to be drilling your holes, which have already been done, in the tops and the bottoms. And then you're going to be filling them with your seeds and your soil. Now you can also see that I have drilled through each side with the smaller bit, and I generally stack these 4 upon one another so that I can do more than one at a time, especially since I have to do so many. And then you start collecting your seeds and writing the pertinent information on the top of your bin. My potting mix here that I make myself is 1/3 peat, 1/3 compost, and 1/3 vermiculite. The vermiculite is basically to give me a nice, fluffy, light soil, which the seeds like quite a bit. And they just dig their roots deep into that mixture in my nursery beds. And I would use this same mixture if I were not planting in nursery beds, even if I was going to be planting in seed trays. But I am done with seed trays. First thing I've done with all my nursery tops is I've written the name of the seed and all the information that's pertinent to me on this packet. This way I'll know it all throughout the season as these seedlings grow in their nursery bed. So this is a perennial lupin. It's a perennial, that's the pea. It takes 2 years to go to bloom. It's 30 inches tall, and I'm going to plant it 0.25 inches deep. So I have all that information right here in each of my bins. I have placed each packet of seeds just like that. Now I'm going to take my mixture, and I'm going to take one of these bottoms. You can see I've filled this up a couple times before. And I'm going to fill it up with about 3 to 4 inches of nice fluffy soil here. And it's already moistened to its proper consistency. Oops, made a little bit of a mess over there. Don't waste any of this mixture. Just sweep it right off the porch and back into your little bin. Then I'll take my top, I'll check out my seed packet, see what I have to do, open my seeds, and in this case I'm just going to barely sprinkle them on top. But I'm going to be very generous with these seeds because this is a big packet. It is just full of seeds, and I want a lot of lupins. So then when I've got my little seeds in there, put my seed packet back in its proper place, I'm going to attach the lid of my nursery with wire. Garden wire. You can use all sorts of things. You can use this stuff. It's pretty inexpensive. It's stiff. Breaks off pretty easily, as you can see, like so. And those little holes that I drilled, because I have previously drilled all the little holes in the sides so that they would all come together here, like that. They're all evened up. Now I'm going to attach them very tightly and give myself a nice tight seal all the way around. I've got 4 places to put my wire. I've got a nice tight seal. There's no reason for me to have to tape this at all because it's going to stay like this. And then I'm going to nicely arrange these with a southern exposure somewhere in the yard, in the garden, on the hill, somewhere. It's a good thing that I looked back on my seed packet, because I forgot to write one important thing on this bin, and that is that you have to soak these lupin seeds overnight, starting out in 180-degree temperature water. So that would have made a huge difference. So fortunately, I went back and looked at my pack again, and so I did plant these 0.25 inches deep, which is about a 1/4 inch deep, and I did soak them for 24 hours before I put them in. So do refer to your seed packet, just in case you forgot something. So just one more time, here we have a bin full of moistened soil of about 4 inches. This is seed that I collected last year from my garden, orange coneflowers. It's a good idea to put the date on it that you're putting the boxes out. And this seed needs to be covered slightly. It needs darkness to germinate. And if you don't know, if you're not sure about a seed, go ahead and look it up, do a little research. So this seed, it needs to be covered. So I'm just going to sprinkle the seed on the top and then dust it lightly. There's a lot of chaff in here too, so I'm just basically sprinkling it on the top. As long as I can see some seed in there, I'm sure there'll be more than enough. And when you're doing these nursery beds, and if it gets too crowded, you can always thin out your seedlings, but I don't like to err on the side of too little, because I would rather have too many seedlings than hardly any at all. And then I'm just going to take a handful of my compost. Let's sprinkle it over the top here. Firm it in. Give it one more water. Very generously. Just let it soak. And then I will attach my lid. Simple as that. So the idea behind these greenhouses is simply, you're just creating a little greenhouse environment here inside your nursery bed. And the rain will fall, the snow will cover these bins. It could get 30 degrees below zero. It won't matter. It's not going to affect what's going on inside that bin. The moisture comes in through the top, drains out through the bottom, and you don't even have to do anything to these except leave them out in a nice sunny location and wait. And they will take their own time. They will grow in their own way. Do this in the cold months. You want to do this when you can have at least 30 to 60 days still of cold weather. So what I generally put in these will be perennials to give them an extra start, because perennials take a long time to establish in your garden, sometimes up to 2 years. Also biennials I like to start this way, and some hardy annuals or seeds that don't do well when I direct sow them. I also like to use these in the nursery bins. I would not plant in a seed nursery bed because they just do so much better if you direct sow them even in the winter time. Poppies, bachelor buttons, larkspur, you just put those in the garden directly. You can do it right now in January. You can do it in the snow. You could have done it in the fall. But they don't need to be in these nursery beds. They just need to be direct sown. Please watch my other video. I go into a lot more detail than I have here. In this section, some of the perennials that I put in last year as young plants from my nursery beds. And these are penstemons. There's probably a dozen over here on this side. The yarrow as well. All started in the nursery beds and didn't bloom last year, but this year they've had a lot of time to grow a nice root system, and I think they've been doing fine all winter. They look a little weary right now because they've been through several freezes and snow and just downpours of rain. But I think they're going to perk up and be really, really beautiful this year. So patience is a virtue in the garden. And you have to be patient if you want to have some sort of success. And also, here along the edge are little dianthus coming up again that were planted in the fall as seeds. So some things actually do better directly sown. And this is a little open section here, which I'm not sure what we're going to do with yet. Last year, this was almost all annuals except for those young plants, the young perennials that I planted from the nurseries. And the whole intention of this garden is to eventually just become basically a perennial bed and roses. Is getting there. I just put in some pea gravel and I still need a lot more stone, but I have found a source for it right here on the property. And this is the bed that I'm going to work on if the days continue to be sunny for the rest of the week, and I think it should be in the 50s. So I have a lot to do in here. A lot of bulbs to get in because I bought them at a discount in January, and so they're not probably in top-notch condition. But this is often how I buy my tulip bulbs and allium bulbs. Some elephant garlic in there that's got some nice roots on it. But this way you get a really good price, and believe me, they'll come up anyway. Even though they look like they have a little rot on them, generally they'll still grow. So don't worry about things like that. It's just nothing to fret over if your bulbs are not absolutely picture perfect. You can still plant them. Preparations for this pie last night, using the leftovers from a roasted chicken. I'll put the recipe below. It's pretty simple, but the main thing is the crust is so beautiful. And I had enough left over to make some little tarts right here. So these are little nice, handy, full meals that I can take outside with me. The differing colors in the crust is that I used all-purpose unbleached flour for part of the lattice, and for the other part of the lattice I used my own hand-milled whole grain flour to give it a little more nutty texture and to give the different colors on the pie pastry. And the tea that we had today is, oh no, I'm going to be murdering French again. Palais de Fête? I don't know. Anyway, it is 7 citrus Russian blend. Super good black tea and citrus cocktail. Very strong, very black, very, very, very good. Oh, it's so pretty I don't even want to cut into it. I might just eat a tart instead for tonight. So you will forgive me if I don't cut into this beautiful pie, although it's nice and hot right now. And if I were to cut into it, the steam would come pouring out. I opened up one of the tarts just so you could see what's inside. It is so delicious and hot. Broccoli, carrots, celery, onions, corn, and potatoes. Yes, potatoes, and of course chicken. It's just delicious. You know, it kind of reminds me very much of a pasty. The taste is very much like a pasty, and this would be a great little cold lunch, and you could just carry that around in your lunchbox and take it out into the garden with you. Anyway, this is so good, and these pies are so much fun to make that I've decided that this year to start a new series on the videos called probably something like Pie Time with Tea, and we will make some beautiful pies this year. Now let me give this another try on this pronunciation. Palais de Thé, which I believe is palette of teas or something of that. Think of that nature. But anyway, from Hop Along Hollow, this is Jeri, and so I hope you'll get out there and start doing some of your winter sowing.